What's up guys, Perry from Rockville here, and today I'm going to show you how to set up your RWM-DSP-H2. As you can see, it comes with the receiver. You also get two wireless handheld microphones, two antennas for the back of the receiver. You also get a 1/4-inch cable to connect the receiver to a powered speaker or mixer, a USB cable to connect the receiver to your Windows computer, a power cable, and hardware to mount the receiver into a rack. So first, let's focus on setting up the receiver itself, and for that I'm going to leave out the two antennas and the power supply. I'm going to put everything else away for right now. So first, we're going to take our antennas and plug them into these antenna ports on the back of the receiver. If you take a look at the ports themselves, you'll see these grooves on the top and the bottom, and you'll see that the antennas have these grooves as well. So we're just going to line these grooves up to the grooves on each port, just like that, and just like that. And once you have the antennas on, you're going to take the base of the antenna and tighten it to the receiver, just like that. See how I'm twisting it in? And once you feel the click, you'll know that they're secure to the receiver. Once they're fully attached, you can raise the antennas like this, and now the strength between the microphones and the receiver will be strong. So now from here, we can connect our power supply. You're gonna take this end and plug it into the back of the receiver. Then you can plug the other end into your power outlet or your power strip. So now from here, we can power on the receiver by holding down the power button. So before we go any further, let's get to know the unit by going over the controls, inputs, and outputs. On the front, you have the display, which will tell you a few different things. For one, it's going to tell you the frequencies that your mics are set to. It'll also show you the volume, signal strength, and battery life for each mic. So each microphone has its own channel, so you have channel A and channel B. You have a volume control for each channel with these up and down buttons here. You have a volume control for each channel with these up and down buttons here. You can also use the up and down buttons to manually change the frequency of each channel. To do that, all you have to do is press the set button first, and then you can use the up and down buttons to switch frequency from there. Each channel also has a sync or scan button to either sync the microphone to the new frequency or to scan for a clean frequency so that there's no interruption or dropouts. We'll go into more detail with the microphones and how to change the frequency later on. The receiver also has some built-in effects, so you have this echo button here, so you can give your microphone some echo. There's 3 different presets, so you can switch between them by pressing the button, and then you can turn it off altogether. Below we have a feedback filter, which will prevent any screeching or humming that comes from the microphone. We also have some EQ presets here, and we can cycle between them by pressing the EQ button, or we can turn it off. And we also have the exciter, which will add some mid-range to the microphone. And again, we have 3 different presets for that as well. Now there is a way to edit these presets by downloading the DSP onto your Windows computer. From there, you're gonna connect your receiver to your computer, and then you can make all of the changes that you want. We'll also go into more detail on that later on. Now on the back of the receiver, we have the antenna ports. We already went ahead and connected our antennas so that the signal between our microphone and the receiver are much stronger. On the very end, you have the USB port so you can connect your receiver to the computer like we mentioned. We have the 1/4-inch mix output so we can connect our receiver to one channel on our mixer or on our powered speaker. And for even more control, we have the balanced A and balanced B XLR outputs on the back. So if you wanted to set up separate channels for each microphone on your mixer, you can do that by using the balanced A and balanced B outputs. Now the receiver also comes with the 2 handheld microphones, so let me show you guys how to set those up. You're gonna need a pair of AA batteries for each microphone, so to plug them in, you can start by taking one of your mics here. You're gonna unscrew the bottom of the microphone just like this, and once it's all the way loose, it reveals these buttons here, which we'll get to in a bit, and then behind we have the battery compartment. So I can take my batteries and place them in face down like this. For the first battery, we're gonna raise it up so we can make room for the second battery here, and then plug it in just like that. Once we have the batteries plugged in, we can screw the cap back on like this. And then we can do the same exact thing with our second microphone. Now to power on the microphones, we're gonna turn it around again, and then we're gonna see at the very bottom this power button here. So we're just gonna hold it down, and then you'll see the display on the front of the microphone light up like this. On the bottom, you'll see the battery life for the microphone, and then you can also see which RF mode it's set to. We can control these settings with the buttons we saw earlier, so I'm gonna unscrew the cap again to show you these buttons here. So for safe measure, the microphone actually locks itself, so that way it doesn't accidentally change any settings while we're performing. So for example, if I try to raise or lower the volume, I actually can't do that because of the lock. So to unlock the microphone, all we're gonna do is hold down the enter button until it reads unlock. And now from here, we can use the up and down buttons to control the volume. So again, we have independent volume control between the microphone and the channel volume on the receiver. So we actually recommend setting the volume on the microphone low and then raise the volume on the receiver. And then to switch the RF, we're actually gonna press the enter button until we get the RF connection that we want. So we have 3 different options of low, middle, and high. So the higher the RF, the better connection you have between the microphone and the receiver, but this also comes with a cost of battery life. So the higher the RF, the more battery is drained. So we recommend setting it to RF low or medium to start. So now let's talk about syncing our microphone to the receiver. So for that, you're gonna refer to the frequency that's set on both the channel on your receiver and the microphone itself. So this right here is the microphone for channel A, and you can tell because the frequency on the microphone and the channel on the receiver are matched. Now the only reason we want to change this frequency is if we're experiencing any dropouts or interference while using the microphone. We have a couple of ways we can do this. So we can either go to the channel itself, press the set button, and then use the up and down buttons to manually switch the frequency, or we can hold down the scan button so that the receiver can search for the next clean frequency. So let's change the frequency now so we know how to do it later on. For that, I'm gonna hold down the scan button here for channel A. You'll see that it starts to cycle and look for the next clean frequency. And we land on this frequency here. So now all we have to do is match this frequency to the microphone. To do that, we're just gonna press the bottom button once to set it to sync mode. Then you'll see the light flash here on the receiver. It only does it for a few seconds before turning off. So if you missed it, that's fine. You're just gonna have to press the button again. So while this light is flashing, we're actually gonna wanna unscrew the cap for the mic like that. Then we're gonna line the microphone up to the receiver like this. And now you'll see the frequencies match on the microphone and channel A. And now you're all set to use your microphone without any dropouts or interference. You can do the same exact thing for your second microphone on channel B in case you're having similar issues. So one of the ways we can set up our RWM-DSP-H2 is to something like a powered speaker here. The easiest way to do this is by using the 1/4" mix output on the back of the receiver with the included 1/4" cable. So I can plug one end into the mix out on the back of the receiver. Then I can plug the other end into one of the channels here on my powered speaker. So now from here, I can go ahead and power my speaker on. Boop. Next, we'll make sure our mics are powered on, synced up, and set at the appropriate RF connection and volume. Remember, you can set the volume of the microphone by going to these controls here, unlocking the mic, and using the up and down buttons to set the volume. For right now, I'm gonna set it to about 4. Next, we'll raise the volume for each channel on our receiver. Also make sure the volume on your speaker is up. And now if I talk through my microphone,
Check 1, 2. You should be able to hear my voice coming through.
So another way we can set up our RWM-DSP-H2 is to two separate channels on our mixer. There is some benefits to this setup, including independent volume controls for each microphone, and you can fine-tune effects for each microphone, including EQ, reverb, delay, etc. So for this setup, I'm going to need two XLR cables. I'm gonna plug the female ends into these balance outputs here, and these are for each microphone. So balance A is for mic 1, and balance B is for mic 2. So one goes into balance A, and one goes into balance B. So you can keep track of which microphone is going into which channel. So I have balance A here, I'm gonna set up to channel 1 on my mixer, and balance B, I'm gonna set up to channel 2 on my mixer. For today, I'm just gonna use mic A, so I'm gonna make sure the volume is set on channel A. I'm also gonna wanna check the volume on the mic itself and make sure I have it set to the preferred RF connection. Then I can raise the gain and the level knob for channel A. Make sure that the main mix is turned up so everything coming from the mixer is coming out of the speakers. And also double check the volume on the speaker itself. And now if I check the microphone.
Check 1, 2. You should be able to hear my voice. So again, this is a cool setup because I can control the volume of mic A, check 1, 2, can lower it, can raise it, check 1, 2. We can use the features of the mixer like the EQ section here and the effects knob, check 1, 2, check 1, 2. So now I have some effects on my voice. And I can fine tune these settings for each mic. So if I wanted more effects on mic A, check 1, 2, check 1, 2, and little effects on mic B, I can totally do that.
This is going to apply for both the L2 and the H2 and the RWM-DSP series. For starters, we're gonna turn the unit around to see the feet here on the bottom. These can actually come off if we just pull them out, just like this. For now, we're just gonna place the feet on the side, but if you ever wanted to add them back, there is an easy way to do that. There's a little knob in the center of each foot, so you're gonna want to pull that out, or just have it fall out in your hand like that. Then you're just gonna take your foot and place them into one of the holes. Then you're gonna take the knob again and run it through the middle of the foot and make sure it runs through the hole just like that. Now the receiver is gonna come with some hardware so you can mount the unit into your rack. So it comes with two rack ears. You have one shorter one to go on one side, and then you have a longer one. Since the unit is on the smaller side, this is gonna fill up the space inside of your rack. We also have this bar here, and this can connect two units if you want to fill up more space and have both of them side to side, but we'll get to that later on. So to attach your rack ears, you're gonna take the unit and you're gonna look on the sides for these two screws here and these two screws here. You can use a Phillips head screwdriver to take them out just like this. You're gonna keep those screws on the side. Be sure not to lose them because we're gonna need them to attach the rack ears. We'll do one at a time, starting with the small one here. We're gonna look for these two small holes and we're gonna line them up to either the two holes on this side of the unit or this side of the unit. So for today, we'll line it up right here. So we're gonna line up the holes of the unit to the holes of the rack ear, like that. We'll take back two of our screws and line them up to the holes right here, and then just screw them in like that. We're gonna do the same thing with the long rack ear now, so line up the holes on the rack ear to the holes of the unit. Take your screws and line them up to the holes, then use the screwdriver to screw them in like this. So with the rack ears attached, you can line the unit up to a free spot on your rack and screw it in using the hardware that's inside of your rack. The unit is 1U rack mountable, so make sure you have enough space when placing it inside of the rack. Now there is a way to rack two units next to each other at the same time. For that, you're going to need the included bar that goes in the middle of both units, and you'll also need the 2 smaller ears that come with each unit. So first we're gonna start by bridging the 2 units together. So we're going to just make sure they're side to side, just like that. Once they're bridged together, we're gonna look for these 4 holes in the middle, right there. Then we'll take our bridge piece and line them up to these 4 holes. So we'll want to make sure to get the ones in the back and the ones in the front. Next, we're gonna take 4 of our small screws and line them up to each hole. Then we're gonna use our screwdriver to screw them in just like this. So now that our units are joined together, we can now add our rack ears to each side. So to do that, we'll take out these screws on each side with the screwdriver and do the same exact thing on the other side here. Then we can take our rack ears and line them up to the holes on each side. Line our screws up to the holes on each side and use a screwdriver to screw them in, securing the ears to the units. So now we can take both of our units and line them up to a space on our rack. And remember, it's 1U rack mountable, so make sure you have that amount of space. Now we also have some software available to fine-tune some of the settings in your RWM-DSP series, including the Echo, EQ, and Exciter presets, amongst many others. You can either download this from the support site or download it from the link we're gonna drop right here. Next thing we'll do is, Next we're gonna connect the receiver to our computer using the included USB cable. You're gonna plug this USB-B end into the receiver, then plug the USB-A end into your computer. Once you connected the receiver to your computer, you're gonna see this window pop up. We have a bunch of different things we can edit here. We have the device name where we can change the name of the receiver itself. We have the Find Me feature, so if you have more than one of these units in your rack, but you wanted to find this one in particular, you can just press the Find Me button, and then you'll see the button start to flash. Then we have the Upgrade button at the end, so you can download any available updates. Now to make the edits in the presets, we're actually gonna click on this console button here, and that's gonna bring us to this window. For today, we're just gonna do a brief overview on what each of these windows do for our receiver. So we can use this squeal section here to adjust the settings for the feedback filter. We can use the exciter section to adjust the settings on the exciter. And you can adjust all of the presets if you don't like the sound of them. So for example, you can click on preset 1 for the exciter, and you can make any of the adjustments you want. Move on to the next one if you wish, and then the third one, just like that. Then we have the echo section here where we can adjust all of the echo presets. So we can go to preset 1, make our adjustments. We can do the same for preset 2 or preset 3. You also have the channel info and volume section here. You can use that to adjust the volume of each pack. And this QR code down here is really handy because you can take your phone and use your camera to open up this window, but on your mobile device. Whenever you're done making adjustments, you can just press the Save to Device button here, and that's going to save everything you've done. Now, one thing I want to stress is that this feature here doesn't make or break the settings that are already pre-built in the receiver. This is just for the pro audio people or anyone who wants to really fine-tune each setting. So unless you really want to fine-tune the settings, the presets on the receiver itself are going to be just fine. So hopefully this showed you guys how easy it is to set up your RWM-DSP-H2. But of course, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, feel free to reach out to our customer support team through phone or email. As always, I'm Perry from Rockville, and we'll see you guys next time.